Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we're not ignorant of his devices. I want to start by giving all honor, all praise, and all glory to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahushai, Bashem, Arachak double honors to the elder apostles and bishops of the great millstone that rule well. And as always, peace, blessings, and salutations unto the tabernacle of David, the hopeful elect, scattered abroad across the four winds of the earth. So now, for the next few weeks or so, probably even a couple months, they're gonna turn this Charlie Kirk character. They're turning him into a hero, and they're gonna just be talking about him. It's a red flag when devils like this is sending, his deepest condolences and saying all type of good about you. I saw one post where, and it was referring to Charlie Kirk. the post, it might have been a meme or it was actual post, but it basically said, good. It said, well done, my faithful servant. I think that's what it said. Job done, or well done, my faithful servant. As if he was this perfect saint of the Most High, right? But I'm pretty sure, just like the Candaces of the world, just like the Andrew Tates of the world, the Myron Gaines of the world, these were all set up, compromised, controlled opposition assets. All right, that's what I believe. All these people, their whole purpose were to be controlled opposition assets for the powers that be. All right, they have their little talking points to rally up the alt-right side, and then you have the whole alt-left side. All right, and it's all purely based on the agendas that the elites are setting. And we know that this is all going to lead to various things. They're rousing up the people on the right. This can spark civil war in the country, so order out of chaos. But also, we just can't forget, all right, because anytime there's something on the news that's being constantly ran through the media, all right, it's just constantly getting coverage day after day, time after after hour. That means that they're trying to distract you from something else, all right? This could have very well have been done as a psyop to get your mind off of something that they got in the tuck. Now, just maybe a week or two ago, now you had that Catholic shooting, right? And several children were killed, several children were injured. Before that, you had the CDC get shot up. You had all these different mass shooting events. Then, the same day of this so-called assassination, you had another school shooting. That went right under the radar because it was overshadowed by this event that happened at the university in Utah. Right? Then, of course, they still pushing a narrative in the media about how, it's niggas that are doing all this violence and killing, these murderous thugs. They're committing all the crimes and the violence in the country. Then they release, another more incidents where, you got some YNs on demon time, and they're just going up senselessly and knifing people. The one that went viral, the one that caught all of the coverage, was the one in North Carolina on that train, because it was captured on film, and two, this was a Ukrainian woman. All right, your government and president, they have a lot invested in the in Ukraine. You know, they not even talking about some of the unarmed men who were killed this year so far. You know, they talk about it briefly and then it just goes away. All right, a couple lynchings that happened that just went under the radar. They said that, you know, there's no foul play. It was probably suicide, but we know how that go. They say that for every time they find a nigga lynched. But anyway, I could see them using this for why they're trying to roll out this you know, Palantir's AI surveillance system, you know, worldwide, and also this Israeli sponsored threat detection system where they're gonna, you know, closely monitor, you know, all people's activity online and, you know, what they're watching, what they're consuming, and what they're posting. And basically, in the direction of a Minority Report. All right, it was all about threat detection and getting ahead of crimes before they were committed. So now they can basically justify themselves with this technology, which happens to be AI, Slakia, Israeli sponsored. It's going to be a Israeli AI detection system. All right. So what better way than to use this situation as well? All right, because this Charlie Kirk guy, you know, he spoke down on you know, Epstein and how he was set up by the Israeli intelligence. All right, how he was a Israeli spy, this, that, and third. You talk about the Mossad. But clearly, if you can talk like that and then have this guy, after your so-called assassination, say all these good things about you, this dude was clearly controlled opposition. All right. So this is why the scriptures tell us, you know, you have to, you know, be mindful. And the scriptures say, be not ignorant in a small thing or in a great. And let me also grab this. Psalms 144 and 11, it says, rid me and deliver me from the hand of strange children, whose mouth speaketh vanity, and their right hand is a right hand of falsehood. You know, everything that these devils do are very deceptive. All right, and it all constitutes a purpose, a left-hand agenda. Okay, so right now the so-called suspect is at large. They still trying to find out, you know, who could have done it. You know, they grabbed up the wrong guy. There was an older dude. They were trying to say that they got the suspect, and if the FBI, they fumbled the job. And I believe this is all being strategically done. If they really wanted to find the suspect, they would have definitely got him right after he did the shit. Easily. This is just like October 7th. All right, all the surveillance system and technology over there, but somehow they get through the detection system and they just invade the Holy Land, and then they start taking hostages. You know, come on, man. So all these things are set up, man. And if you can't see that, then you know you're blinded. All right, let me get this in Proverbs. Excuse me. This is all, you know, ways that this man is gonna try to, you know, make his moves. You know, these devils, they really want, you know, they're desperate. Proverbs 22:3 says, a prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. Because we can see the writing on the wall. All right, so now this is why we need surveillance technology. And we need to monitor every person. We need to track their every move. All right. Because this is getting out of hand. All these mass shootings. All right. This guy was on the roof and people filmed the guy standing on the roof. How is it that you couldn't find this guy? Unless they're, they're crafting their story together before they can say, oh, we got him. And they can plant this manifesto that they're going to present like they did with the guy that shut up that Catholic school, right? And you're going to have some kind of political affiliation because they like to make everything political, But now they can have a reason to monitor your social media, see what belief system you hold, right? What type of content you're consuming, so that they can have data on you to see what type of individual you are, if you would have any type of motive to commit a crime, because, it's too much crime. Pay attention to what Trump and all these people are all constantly saying when they make their speeches. We want to bring the crime rate down. It's too much crime. Crime this, crime that, violence, crime. We need to make the place safe. So this is just giving them more credence to secure and lock everything into this system. All right. And this right here is going to accelerate that. And I'm just thinking out loud, speaking as a man, but I could see them, using this. All right. Now we need to, watch everybody closely. Gun control, extra surveillance programs, Palantir, the Gideon AI threat detection, minority report technology, which is a creation by a small hat. So I believe that this is what they on. All right, problem, reaction, solution. Hegelian dialectic. He said this guy was a lion-hearted friend of Israel. All right, so, and he said he even invited him a few weeks to Israel. So clearly this guy was he was set up. So let me grab this. Ephesians 5:15, it says, see then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil. And we're definitely in the days of evil. And this man, he wants to crack down. And you tribes, you're being made the scapegoat of everything wrong, even though it's of his doing. This is all part of the secret counsel of the wicked, as it says in Psalms, the 64th chapter. All right, deliver me from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity. Because they accomplish a diligent search. They do a diligent search. They search out iniquity. They search out evil plots, plans, and they have the power to stage certain events, whether they are real or simulations. Then they use the media and put it into circulation, and it does something to the people's minds. It gets you feeling a certain way. It triggers your emotions, your thoughts, your feelings. And it's really to get you on board with their agendas. So now it's a divide. You got Jake making fun of the dude, and then you got Jake that's defending the guy, scared of E, what E's going to do, So they at least got these people where they want them. But we can see the writing on the wall, man. We see it all. Okay? How are the things that Esau searched out? How is hidden things sought out beneath? All right. But we know that something's gonna come down the pike with, with all these different events that are taking place, because it's starting to become frequent. All right, it's like it's becoming the norm. This shooting, this many people got shot. Then over to the next, over here was another incident. Multiple people were killed. And over here, this person got knifed up. Which we're in that time, man. The Lord, in these last days, just like in the days of Noah, it talked about how the heart of every man was corrupt and evil, and how it was nothing but violence in the earth. And we're seeing that same pattern, but it's even worse now. All right. But Esau figures he's going to basically use that as his means to set up his new world order. All right. So there's definitely going to be persecution as well, because, based on your message, based on your belief system, they can make it to where, you're penalized. They'll criminalize you. If you speak about, the small hat people, you could be in trouble. If you speak against the government, you can be in trouble. Whether you typing it on social media, whether you're saying it in public, the people will be right at your door. So you gotta, definitely be salty with your words and anything that you posting online, which I'm pretty sure they got stuff in the archives from back in the day when, Jake used to, we used to be wild, but, we've been seasoned since then. But, you want to make sure that, the only thing they have on you is that you believe in the scriptures. Was that Titus? Because all they can do is just try to twist our words. Because it says that the wicked plotteth against the just and gnash their teeth against them. They did the same thing to the Lord. Titus 2 and 6, it says, young men likewise exhort to be sober-minded, in all things showing thyself a pattern of good works, and doctrine showing uncorruptness, gravity, sincerity, sound speech that cannot be condemned. Because they're looking for anything. They're going to try to make a man an offender for a word. That they may set a snare in the gate, set a snare for him that reprove in the gate. They don't want us out there speaking the truth. We've been bad for business, for the church, all right, for the elite. What we represent and what we speak goes against the status quo. So it's considered radical, revolutionary. But we're reading out of the same book that they read from, allegedly. You got the Candace Owens and all these people trying to go into the scriptures and try to break stuff down. We're in a time of Ezekiel. We're in a time of the book of Revelation. She trying to break down who the small hats are. They're Ashkenaz. They're not the real people. They're not Shemites. They go back to the Ashkenaz people. They're from Japheth. And man, shut up, man. Leave the breaking down of the scriptures to the men of the Lord. But they all feel like they're comfortable enough that they can start going into these things because they're really watching the men of the Lord, the prophets. All right, but they're controlled opposition. It says, he that is of the contrary part may be ashamed, having no evil thing to say of you. And what could they really say about us outside of us preaching what the Bible say? You ain't got nothing on us, personally. But you better believe when the persecution comes, they're going to try to find something. But the Lord's going to justify his elect. All right, they all going to be justified. Okay. But this devil's looking for anything right now. because he's coming down with that wrath. So, just think on this for, I'm just thinking out loud, man. Okay. And it's like this devil, you're part of another government on the other side of the world. Why do so much would he say have any kind of merit or jurisdiction here in America? It's because Trump, he's controlled. He's set up. And what they're implementing over there on that side of the world under that government is exactly what they're trying to implement here in Babylon. It's going to be a harder task because you have 300 plus million people. And half the population, if not majority of the population, are armed. So they got to get a head start. They got to, cut the population down. They got to find a way to take away any resistance. They want to put troops everywhere, and they want to beef up AI surveillance technology systems. Everything for surveillance, spying, and monitoring. And what is the ultimate solution? What is the ultimate device that they can use to spot everything? You guessed it. And he calls of all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, encompasses everybody, all statuses. Now we can get a closer look and monitor everything, every transaction, every thought. Right now it's wild, and they know what they're doing, stripping the economy down, making the people suffer even more, so that the people can get out of control. The next thing you know, there's going to be seditions and uproars like you see happening, in France and the UK and Nepal. All right, which is the Lord warned that these things would also happen, that there would be commotions. Luke 21 verse 9, and it says, "When you shall hear of wars and commotions, be not terrified, for these things must first come to pass, but then it's not by and by." And it says, for the word commotions, I always go into this word. The Greek word is akatastasia. And it says in the definition, instability, a state of disorder, because that's what they want. Order out of chaos. And this whole Charlie Kirk assassination thing got everybody in their feels. So these people would be willing to crash out. And it's gonna spark civil war. They blame it on Dems, but it's still the guy who allegedly did it is at large. Even though we know that the person was planted there to carry that thing out. This is all an operation. But this is what it's intended for. The cause of the state of disorder, instability, disturbance, confusion. All right. So if the Lord said it, then guess what? This will be a thing, and that's going to be happening. This will be an event. Okay. And then let's get the one in 2nd Ezra about sedition. Let me see. It is in the GNT. 2nd Ezra 15. And then also, you got all these layoffs, a lot of people losing jobs. The job market is doing horrible. The unemployment rate has increased. And then you also got the farmers that are crying for help, right? It says 2nd Ezra 15 and 13, it says the farmers will mourn because their seeds will fail to sprout and their trees will be destroyed by blight, hail, and terrible storms, all this extreme weather. It says the world and the people in it are doomed the war that will bring their destruction is very near. Nations will arm themselves and fight against other nations. Race war, civil war, all right? Country against country. It says there will be great political turmoil, and that's this whole situation, all right? This is going to cause more political turmoil. The left versus the right, the red versus the blue, liberal versus the conservative. All right, this is what they're going to push for. All right, it says with one group, and this was also interesting. This all happens the so-called day before another 9/11 anniversary. Why did they do that? So emotions are going to be very, emotions are going to be super flared up today, especially by E. And they're going to, lower their American flags and all that. You already know. And something else can very well happen today. This because these psyops are getting more and more frequent. It says with one group trying to overpower another and gain control while ignoring the legitimate government. And that's happening, in these other countries, these uproars. It says there will no longer be free access to the cities. There's checkpoints already in DC. I put that in one of my videos that I put up the other day. All right. Now, you're being met by the National Guard, ICE. And when you come into the city, you better have the documentation. You better have your identification. All right. It says because the struggle for power will bring destruction, terror, and total confusion wherever people live. So we're in the beginning stages of that. Okay. So we definitely gotta, stay alert, be sober, be vigilant. Because they're making moves, man. Okay. So anyway, and also, because I've been getting a few comments. I don't know if they're just AI bots or if these are real people, but when I do these lessons, I'm the first thing I do as soon as I get up from sleep is the spirit will be on me and I'll just hit the record button and do a lesson. That's the first thing I like to do when I get up in the morning, because I'm going through the rest of the day and, I want to be able to make time to be able to get, lessons in. So if you're complaining because you might hear me sniffle a little bit, I mean, this is what happens when your air quality isn't good. I live in a dry desert. Okay. Our air ain't the best. So when I wake up in the morning, I'll be sniffing a little bit. So I've been hearing a few complaints in the comment section about, my lesson would be more palatable if I wasn't sniffling or whatever. Well, hey, if this is bothering you, then if you might hear me cough or sniffle a little bit. If it's bothering you, hey, unsubscribe. You ain't gotta watch my video. There's plenty of other brothers you can watch from then. All right. I just want to say that before I end the video. But Khan, that was just me thinking out loud. We just got to be mindful and just understanding the mindset of this devil and what he's trying to accomplish. They always say amongst themselves, never let a good crisis go to waste. So these are all reasons to implement what they're trying to implement. More surveillance technology and ultimately the MOT to the B. So, Lord willing, y'all were edified. I'm going to give all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. And to the next one, Shalom.